Hi, I'm Chris. I'm the co-host of True Believers, a comic book podcast, our usually weekly show about all things comics and pop culture. We've been on hiatus since last year because of our own personal issues and because we were unsure of the direction we wanted to take True Believers in the future. And unfortunately, my best friend and co-host Andrew can't be with me full time during the second phase of True Believers. So I can do whatever I want for once. In honor of the release of Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves at the end of this month, I am joined by another one of my good friends, Iman, the Mysterious Muzzy, for our episode 43 and the end of our hiatus. Iman?
Yeah?
Introduce yourself, girly.
I can start now. Hi, guys. My name is Iman.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me to talk on this podcast. It's going to be my first time, so excuse me if I am a bit boring or whatever. So, yeah, I'm excited. Let's
All
go.
right. So as I'm sure anyone listening to a comic book podcast knows, Dungeons & Dragons is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game that was originally made by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson in the 1970s, published then by TSR and now by Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro. From 1983 to 1985, CBS ran 27 episodes of a Dungeons & Dragons cartoon, focusing on a group of 6 children transported into what is likely the ever-popular Forgotten Realms location and trying to get home. I have Lord Iman here under false pretenses to do something that I ask of almost everyone I ever befriend. We are going to watch the first episode of the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon, which is notoriously horrible. Iman, are you ready?
Girl, I'm scared, but yes, I am ready.
All right, you guys, we'll be back. Alrighty, Iman, how did you feel about the very first episode of Dungeons & Dragons?
Honestly, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, sure, it was like very straight to the point. I mean, like they jumped to conclusion in the beginning, and you probably have like, what is happening? But the plot isn't that bad, for an animation that was like way back. It's not that bad. I dig it.
You know what? I love it too. Although now I'm like, it might be kind of racist because I don't like that there's like one black girl and I'm like, why does she have to have on that outfit?
Yeah.
That's a little bit too 80s.
But she carried the team.
And one thing about her, she really did carry the team because they were like, what are we gonna do? And she was like, I got this. And she pulled out her acrobat stick or whatever.
Exactly.
It looks like, do you play Animal Crossing?
No.
Okay, well, in Animal Crossing, in New Horizons anyway, where you have the island, like to get around the different parts of the island before you make the bridges, they give you a pole.
It's like javelin stick, yeah, the one like.
Yeah. I was trying to think of what that was called. I was like, oh, that's something. I've seen that before. They do that at the Olympics.
Well, she carried the team. Unlike, what was his name? That guy who just makes comments all the time. Presto?
Oh, you mean
Eric?
Eric.
No,
it's Eric.
Eric
is the Cavalier, and Preston. You know what? Preston doesn't get a lot of stuff done, but he at least tries. He's doing something. Because what were you doing, Eric, the whole time? Just running that mouth.
Exactly. Eric is useless. Like, he has a shield. He could have just like helped, but nah, he was just
talking stuff off that shield. Okay, so the basic premise of the episode was they did kind of a quick entry in the first like 2 minutes of how they got into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. Basically, the basic premise is that they get on a theme park ride, and as they go through the tunnel, they're transported into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. They meet Dungeon Master, who is a little troll-like being. I don't know what you would call him. He's very funny looking, and it's like my favorite thing because there's no reason to do that. Why is he a tiny old man?
You know what he looks like now that I think about it?
What?
He looks like Uncle Iroh from Avatar. Did you think so? He does look a bit like it. He does. Just like
he's just old and bald.
He's like Uncle Iroh, but with the body figure of Yoda, if you think about it.
Except carry on. Yoda and Uncle Iroh, he never helps anybody. Have you seen Sailor Moon?
No.
Okay, so basically there's this character who's like the love interest, Tuxedo Mask or like Mamoru or whatever. He shows up at the end, like all he ever offers them is some cryptic advice and a pep talk because he's not gonna do anything to help. And that's all Dungeon Master does this entire show. He just makes little smart comments. So the premise of the episode was that they were trying to find another way to get home, as they always are. Dungeon Master is like, hey, go to this town. They might be able to help you. On the way there, they end up at Merlin's castle. And newsflash, it wasn't Merlin.
Plot twist.
Ooh, they're like, oh, Dungeon Master told him, oh, when Venture comes, Venture's one of their enemies. He's like, when Venture comes, you'll recognize him by his white hair. And then Merlin's like, oh, you guys, guess what, guys? I can't even grow hair. And he pulls off his wizard hat, even though there was hair on that hat, right? Like, I'm not crazy.
There was hair on the sides, but
like
not
he had like
hair.
a wig on the hat. I was like, okay. He had a white rabbit, which I felt was very, very unserious. And then he was like, oh, it's not a white rabbit, it's a white hair. I'm like, you kids are stupid. Then Preston, who's like the wizard, or he's the magician, I'm sorry. He's like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna stay here with Merlin and I'm gonna be his apprentice so I can help find us a way to get home. So in doing that, he uses a bunch of magic and releases these dragons that Merlin, quote unquote, had trapped. And Merlin's like, guess what? Gotcha, ho. I'm not Merlin.
Merlin's like,
he whipped that costume off so quick and was like, nah. And then the other people get to town and they're like, yeah, so our friend went to go be Merlin's apprentice. And everybody's like, well, how the hell did he do that? Because Merlin hasn't been alive for 1,000 years. 1,000 years.
She dead, you know.
Miss Keisha.
To be fair, when like the dragon came like in the beginning to the castle and Merlin did nothing, that was already booky because Merlin is powerful. Like he did nothing at that time. So I was like, it's either he's like selfish and not trying to help and character development, or there's something going on here, you know?
No, and the fact that they had that Scooby-Doo plan, that was it. He was like, oh my gosh, no, I've got this dungeon that's impenetrable. And they're like, okay, so they're running around the corner while he's stroking this rabbit, pissing me off. And I was like, well, when are you gonna do something, Merlin?
Exactly.
And then they had Presto pull out a carpet from his magician hat and lay it over the big hole into the dungeon. And they had Tiamat run over the hole. And then Diana, of course, the acrobat, the only person who carries the team, she swiveled in and jumped up to the chandelier and convinced Tiamat to like jump up, and he fell she fell. You know, gender doesn't matter, and the gender of a giant 6-headed dragon especially doesn't matter. But either way, they fell in the hole. And I was like, all they were missing was Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Where are you? Because that plan was so stupid.
But it worked though, so.
You know what? At the end of the day, it worked. And
yeah. As long as you get the job done, you know.
As long as you get the job done. Iman, baby girl, would you watch another episode of Dungeons and Dragons?
I would totally watch it. It's honestly, it's not that bad. I dig it.
Would you finish the entire show and tell everybody it was good?
I would have to watch it first and then evaluate.
You know, actually, this is one of those shows that is unfinished for a really stupid reason. Like, and there was supposed to be like a one last episode to wrap everything up and to get them home, but they never actually made the episode. I think they have like either an audio or a script or something that can be found online, but I've never read it because I've always known I would have to watch the other like I watch episode 1 all the time, or at least the first 5 minutes, because I make everybody watch it because it's the funniest thing ever. But I know that I would have to watch the rest of the show to read the last episode, and I'm just not there.
That's so stupid though that they cancel it.
Because like, don't cancel it when it's at the end.
Yeah, you could have just canceled in the beginning instead of like at the end.
You knew this show was bad when you made it.
What about the people who watch it till the end, you know, and they're not gonna know what's the ending?
Think of the children. Alrighty, you ready for some Q&A?
Yes.
Okay, Iman, so compared to new cartoons, can you tell, like, animation-wise, is it really obvious that it was made in the 80s?
Oh, yeah, so obvious. It's all grainy, and, I mean,
to be fair, we watched on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad, but it's definitely way You can tell it's way in the past.
You can you're like, oh, it's really ghetto over here. I'm not feeling it. But the animation really isn't that bad for it to have been a show made in the 80s. Like, it's comparable to other shows of the time. It doesn't look cheap, although I know it probably was really cheaply made, because like every show in the 80s was made to sell toys, and usually I'd sit and watch the shows trying to pick out what kind of toy it would be. And since it's Dungeons and Dragons, I already know what the toy is. Now, so Iman, when I introduced you as the mysterious Muzzy by your own request.
Period. Yes.
Okay. So as a Muslim woman, they have this unicorn in the show, Uni, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that unicorn meat is halal?
Honestly, even if it was, I wouldn't eat it because it's too cute. Why would you want to kill a unicorn?
You know that thing was not cute. That was the ugliest unicorn I've ever seen. And he made that ugly.
Okay, it was cute till it opens its mouth. I thought it was a goat at first, not a unicorn.
so if it was I wouldn't goat, eat a unicorn. It could be butchered halal, but as a unicorn, even if it could be halal butchered, you're like, I can't do that.
I'll pass.
You know what? I thought about it and I was like, maybe I could do it, because they're like, I'm hungry. I was like, y'all got food right there. Okay. And so do you feel like the reaction to Tiamat is I feel like that was such an underwhelming reaction. Like when you see it in the beginning and they're like, oh my gosh, it's this dragon. And when Tiamat shows up, because I looked up the stat block for Tiamat while we were watching, and that thing has 615 hits. I don't know. It's extra big. Yeah, it's a gargantuan fiend and it's chaotic evil. Armor class 25. Now think about how dead everybody in our party would be trying to kill them.
Yeah,
everybody would be dead.
Dead as hell.
What shoes she got on? What shoes she got on her casket? So Iman, the first time I ever dungeon mastered, I actually dungeon mastered you, our friend Isabel, and Andrew. Do you have fun playing as part of my D&D campaign?
Honestly, I'm new to D&D, and
I just said, girl, I just said you had fun. You're like, I'm new,
I had so much fun. Yeah, I had so much fun. But like before this, I had my a little bit lame perspective on it. But Chris introduced it to me, and I was like, girl, this is fun. Period. We really enjoyed that time. I think it went on for 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah, it was 3 or 4 hours the first time, and now every single time we've met up since, we all just make food now, because
exactly, we need the energy to play. But it was so much fun, and it was a great memory.
That's great. So based on what you've seen in the show today, what character class would you want to play, just from the show though?
I think I would play I don't remember what's Bobby's character, but I think Bobby's character would resonate very closely to my character. So I would think I'll choose Bobby.
Wait, Bobby was the little brother, right? I don't remember their names. Hold on.
Yeah, the little brother. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny, because Bobby is a barbarian and Iman actually plays a barbarian.
That's why I say it. It's it resonates me. It reflects me. Yeah.
So Iman, if you had to pick a class for me to play based on what we saw in the show, what would I be?
I think you would choose Presto.
Period. Because one thing about me, fighting is ghetto. I'm always gonna choose magic. One thing about me, I play a sorcerer. I'm like, you know what? I don't need to learn magic. I don't need to make a deal for magic. I just am magic.
And I feel like you're so creative, and you can mix up all this kind of spell that would save us. So yeah.
And my last question, it's really, really stupid, but okay, so I have a younger brother. Well, I actually have 3. And I know you're an older sister too, right?
Yeah.
So Sheila the thief is actually Bobby's older sister. If you were in a situation like this, would you choose to bring your brother, and why or why not?
I would not choose to bring my brother because it's a liability. If he did, then that's gonna cause me emotional damage, So in a way, I'd rather sacrifice myself, like how she did in Hunger Games. I forgot her name. What's her name?
What, Katniss? Or
Katniss. Yeah, I volunteer myself as a tribute. But I do not think I want to bring my brother in it, because one thing, he's very annoying, and I don't think he'll listen to me. And second, I don't want that emotional damage if he dies, So I would rather myself rather than him.
Oh, I'm the complete opposite. I wouldn't bring my youngest brother, because he's 5, but like me and my brothers, we're all like in shape, athletic people. My older brother, he actually went to university on a track and field scholarship, and my 2 younger brothers, they play like football, basketball, soccer, like they're sporty. So I know that if it was just the 4 of us in a situation, like if we got trapped in the Dungeons and Dragons world, we're coming home. It's gonna be all of us.
Yeah, I would be the opposite. I wouldn't want to bring my brother.
Now I don't know if they're gonna listen to me. We might all be having to listen to my older brother, even though he doesn't know what he's doing. He's gonna be like, I'm the leader. I'm gonna be like, you know what? Lead us to some food then.
Cool.
Yeah, so I don't really have any more questions. Is there anything that really stood out to you in the episode or that you really liked?
Is there anything that I like? Let me think about it. I mean, I'm down to watching an episode. It's not that bad. I can sit through another 20 minutes. But yeah, if only like the beginning was a bit more info, then it would have been great. Because like,
you know what's crazy? I don't think they ever expand on like what happened. I think they might have showed it other than that one time, but they never like go back or anything. Not that I remember. And I've seen the whole show, but like years ago, 20 years ago, probably.
Yeah. Because like, if you think about it, yeah, if you're thrown in another world, obviously you're gonna panic and like figure out what's happening. But like the characters was like chill and be like, okay, let's get out of here, which is not realistic at all. I would.
It's like they're just over it.
Damn, they must have had a hard life.
It's like, how bad does your life have to be that this is just, well, we're in it now.
Exactly. Another day, another struggle.
Well, the only one who we know is not struggling is Eric, the one who's a jerk, because he's listen, I'm rich. You guys are poor. That's why you don't understand that this is horrible. But I'm rich and I don't want to be walking around like this. This is horrible.
I don't think he has a purpose in the show. As in, like, I think if they get rid of him, it would have been just like, oh, nothing happened, So yeah.
There's actually this comic that me and my other friend Alana read that that episode comes out later this month, but it's called Die. And so the premise is that this group of friends, they go missing in the 80s for a year because they were playing like a Dungeons and Dragons like game called Die on the main guy's birthday, right? Or the main person's birthday. So they never like speak about it ever again, but they get trapped in the world of the game. And then they come back like a year, like almost exactly a year later, and they just never speak about it again. But like the one guy who was the dungeon master is like missing, and they're like, where is he? And they're like, well, we can't tell you, ain't got nothing for you. And it later comes back that they all had to be like in agreement to leave. And there was one guy who didn't want to leave, and they were just straight up gonna kill him.
Girl, that is dark.
I have no idea what that had to do with what we were talking about before, but I promise that's related. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, they said you better get with the program or die.
Oh, so they can't leave?
So they were like, yeah, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, you can't be selfish, everyone wants to leave. You follow the majority, But
you follow the majority or die fooling with them.
But I would have found another way instead of killing. But if he disagrees, then yeah, I would kill the other person. Because like, people have a life in the other world. Like, you can't be selfish,
Thing happens in the 80s, right? And then like maybe it was the 90s. I don't know. I'm very bad at time. But like 20 years later, so they're all like 40 and they're like, they have kids, they've been married, blah, blah, blah. They get trapped in there again. That's the time where I'm really not playing with you. I'm going home. You want to go with the program?
It's giving a bit of Jumanji vibes.
Yes, actually, the creator, Kier Gillen, describes it as God Jumanji.
Oh, okay.
And they actually have a role-playing game, and like I kind of was interested in playing it, but I have this thing like with Jumanji, because they sell those Jumanji boards. I don't want to play anything where the premise is that you get sucked into it. I don't want to do that. I don't play that. That's not fun to me. But I think you might like Die, actually. It's a really good comic. The art is very nice, got a lot of literary references, but it is like a lot of reading if you're not into like comic books. But maybe.
Well, I read mangas, so I think it's just the same,
I haven't read a manga in a long time, but I keep reading those like isekai webtoons. That's it, the manhwa.
Girl.
And they're always the ridiculous ones. The ones, there's always a Grand Duke from the North. There's always like
Yeah.
she's the villainess in a past life. Now
Yeah.
she's getting revenge. Like the ones that are foolish. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a bit sappy, Isekai's webtoon, but it's not too bad. I like the supernatural one. Should give that a try.
Actually, like I've always wanted to do an episode based on webtoons or do a couple webtoon episodes. So if you want, you can come back because
Girl, yes.
there's this one webtoon that I kid you not, it's about this girl who gets a job being like a paranormal investigator with this guy, and the guy's name is Ichabod, and you will not believe what he has instead of a head.
Oh, okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah.
No, guess. I want you to guess.
What? He has what?
A pumpkin. It's a pumpkin. He has a pumpkin and not a head. It's like a jack-o'-lantern.
Girl, that is oh, that reminds me of like what's the anime called? Howl's Moving Castle, was it?
Oh, where the guy's the scarecrow? Or no,
yeah.
He's like a turnip scarecrow.
Yeah.
Because I remember they were like, oh, I think she kissed him or something, and he like turned into a handsome prince, and she was like, oh, well, I don't love you. And he was like, oh, thank you. Thank you for freeing me. I'll go in the war. I'm sad that you don't love me. Yeah, it's called Third Shift Society. And you know how I told you that guy's head is a pumpkin? Tell me why they almost never acknowledge it. Like anytime somebody brings it up, he just gaslights them. Like his head's not a pumpkin.
That's interesting. I need to read that.
He's like out in broad daylight as like a pumpkin man. I've been trying to get everybody to read this because I'm like, I'm not crazy. Somebody's got to read.
Or maybe people just see him like normal.
No, they don't.
He has like a disguise spell or something.
He does not. It's like on Doctor Who where they'll go up to the most random places and they'll be like, yeah, so the King of England sent me here to look for witches. The King of England will show up and be like, I didn't send you here to look for witches. And then they'll show that little paper that reads people's minds or whatever. And the doctor will be like, yes, you sent me here to look for witches. And the king is like, oh my gosh, yes, I sent you here to look for witches.
As if that's not weird at all, yeah.
Like, that's not the craziest thing you've ever heard. And I'm like, he has a pumpkin head. I waited so many issues because she asked about the pumpkin head like the first time she met him. And he was like, yeah, I got a pumpkin head. And that was it. Like, he didn't elaborate, didn't say anything. And then this has got so far off topic. I'm supposed to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm really peddling the pumpkin head webtoon. I'm like, no, his head's a pumpkin. He's a gaslighter, Iman, a gaslighter. Just like me when I gaslight you guys during Dungeons and Dragons. Because one thing about me, I'm gonna gaslight Isabel. I'm gonna be like, oh, so you think you're the best bard ever? Well, they hired another bard to perform at the wedding. Speaking of our personal Dungeons and Dragons games, though, I want to tell my audience right now, Andrew has a terminal case of main character syndrome. He needs to be special so bad. When we were starting our current campaign, I was like, oh, okay, so you guys are on your way to a wedding. You know these people, like you're invited by name. And Andrew was like, no, I snuck in. And I'm like, no, they invited you by name. He's like, no, they think they invited me by name, but I really snuck in. I'm like, you're literally on your way with an invitation through an invitation that grew out of the ground with your name on it from a flower. You've gone through a magic portal and they met you and greeted you by name.
He's like, bitch, I'm a star.
I'm a star.
One thing about Veltron, which is my character, by the way, guys, is that I abide the rules, okay? I follow the rules.
Iman is the perfect player. One thing about her, she's gonna know how to attack. She's gonna have that attack ready. She's gonna be like, and I'm strong, so I punch that wolf in the face.
Exactly. I have big muscles. I'm 7 feet, 7 to 8-ish. And yeah, I carry the team. Literally.
Yes. And one thing about her, she's strong. Period.
Exactly. Strong. Yeah.
So did you have fun on your first episode of True Believers ever, Iman?
Yeah, it's so much fun. I thought I'd be awkward, but no, it's kind of nice to talk about. But it's my first time, so bear with me. But yeah, I hope I did well.
Yes, and you can definitely come back anytime you want. I think that's all for this week's episode of True Believers. So I want to thank everybody for all the support, your continued support, because we did actually cross the 2,000 downloads over the summer while we weren't releasing episodes, and that was really cool to know that people were still caring and engaging with our content. And I'm trying really hard not to cry right now, but thank you so much for all your support. I'm gonna do my best to be back with you guys next week. I said I was gonna cry. True Believers is available on all major streaming platforms, and we are a member of the Hall of Pods Podcasting Alliance that can be found in our link tree below. If you really like our show or any of our compatriots, please leave us a review and continue sharing with your friends. We really appreciate it. And as always, if you want to leave a suggestion on what we read or watch, you can find and DM us on social media. You can email us, leave us a voicemail. Well, actually, we have to change our Google Voice number, so please don't leave us any voicemails. Or you could join our Discord, which again is in the link tree below. If you'd like to support the show by buying us a coffee on Ko-fi, again, our link is in the description. Thank you so much. Thank you, Iman. Iman, any last words?
Thank you for inviting me. This is such an experience, my first time. And yeah, thank you to the listeners for supporting my great friend over here. So let's give her a round of applause. I don't know if you can hear, but I'm clapping right now.
Yeah, and we went on for the perfect amount of time because our Zoom call will be ending in 10 minutes because I don't have Zoom Pro. Thank you so much, Iman.
You're welcome. Also, oh yeah, I've always wanted to do this. Hit that like and subscribe, guys.
Okay, that's perfect.